Yes, it's Monday. It's the 20th of November. Where did November go? I honestly don't know, because last I looked, it was like the 1st of November. I don't know. Things are racing by. The year's almost over. I'm going on vacation soon. What is going to happen here? I don't know. The stress. I hope everybody had a great weekend. What are we doing here? We're going to answer your traffic and police questions for an hour, because that's what we do right here on Ask a Traffic Cop. It's that magic, the magic of the internet that allows us to reach out and be reachable. Is that funny how that works? Hey, wherever you are, you're probably watching on one of these platforms, because that's where we're broadcasting. We're on TikTok, YouTube, Twitch, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, Kick, and the platform formerly known as Twitter, now just called X. Yes, it's magic in a box. If you're on any one of the platforms, feel free to ask us questions. If you're on X, you can't, but you can go over and visit us on YouTube. It's youtube.TrafficCop.ca to take you to our YouTube page, where you can subscribe, or go to TrafficCop.ca and you can select your favorite option from the list of many links. That's how we roll. We give you many options. If you are interested, we try and post. I say try because I messed up and I haven't posted in a couple of days, but we generally have all of the posts, all these live streams packaged nicely for you in either audio or blended audio video format on your favorite podcasting app, like, Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Yeah, we're there. We have a library of stuff and things all over the place. The link is currently working. I see Emma and LV50. Is that level 50? Let's see here. Level 50, Ariane. Anyway, and Neha just popped up with a good morning. They are coming in through TikTok, and the link is working, which is good, because I don't have a moderator today, which means you're stuck with me and a slow roll. We are going to go a little slower, just because it's just me. It was always me, and me alone. I alone, for the longest time. And then I got really used to having help. And now that help has a back issue today. And the other one's busy. So it's just me. Let's jump into a couple of things. If you're going to ask questions, please ask them with a letter Q, so I can identify which ones are actually questions and which ones are just dialogue. Of course, I always like to jump in and get the hey, how you doings out of the way, and we'll do that before we talk about Vision Zero. Tim Shallow, who has a TikTok account now, very, very happy to see you on multiple platforms, my friend. But I saw a comment or a thumbs up from Tim, and it's the same Tim. So good. I did have a great weekend. I had an extra long weekend. I had a 3-day weekend, which was magical. In fact, this morning I woke up at 4:30 to my alarm and was very aggravated, because I thought it was Sunday, and I wondered why it was going off at 4 instead of 8. Don't ask. I never actually sleep until 8 on a weekend, but it's nice to dream about sleeping in. Now we have Michael, who says, hello with my lack of personal greeting. Yes, hello, Michael, and the lack of personal greeting. I appreciate it. I mentioned Emma already. Chase, who says, good morrow. Where is your vacation spot? I will be in the islands. I'm doing a Caribbean thing. So I'll be off and enjoying sun, and we'll turn this very, very, very light shade of whatever I am into something a little bit darker, because I will try and get some sun. I need some sun because I am paper. And we have Big Jeff Fresh, who says, good Monday morning. It is a good Monday morning. Every Monday that you get up is a good morning, right? So it was level 50 who had the hi, the how, the hello. Neha, I mentioned earlier. We got good morning to you. We have good morning from Jonathan Q on YouTube. Welcome. And Neha is going for a run. Kudos to you for going for a run. I did not go for a run. I did not go to the gym today. I was going to the gym on a regular basis, and then I stopped. I stopped for a good reason. I got lazy. I need to get back in the gym. It was a couple of days of just getting out of the routine. I need to get back in the routine. Alexis, good morning. We have a friend from Iowa. I live in Grimsby, Ontario, but I'm on the road here. Very cool. Well, happy Iowaing. Good morning from Zombie. We have Michael says get well. The moderator JD or M Shapiro, the one with the back issue. Yes, thank you. Jeremy says good morning from Muskoka. Normally, I would say that's a really good thing, because Muskoka would be a wonderful summer spot. What's the weather like in Muskoka today? Are you seeing ice? Are you seeing snow? What's happening up there? But wherever you are in Muskoka, I appreciate the hello. Kyle, question about, okay, Kyle Patterson has the very first question of the day, and I am going to flag it. And I will flag the next bunch of them too and skip to another hello, and we'll get back to them. So we've got, is it CU Canary Dakota 812? Good morning, my friend. Good morning to you too. The Grinch says good morning. And police, what is this? Police line in Toronto so busy. You're talking about the telephone line? That is entirely possible. Alexander says, hey. And very cool. We are up. Okay, I flagged everybody that needs to be flagged. We'll jump into Vision Zero so I don't lose my way and start answering questions without talking about the very important. It's the advertising that I don't actually have, right? Like every channel has to have advertising. Well, mine is not really advertising. However, I want you to know about the Vision Zero enforcement team and the good work that they do. Talking about where they are every single day that I'm on the air, and that is most days from 10 to 11. Anyway, we have a group of officers that go out and try and change driver behavior, and that's their exclusive, specific duty. I said duty. The deal is that we have officers all over the city, and they do amazing work, and they have different specialties and different areas they're responsible for, but we have this team of officers that are doing nothing but changing driver behavior one ticket at a time. They do that by looking for the big four. What are the big four? I'm so glad you asked. There's a button for it. I just pressed it. It is drivers who choose to speed, drive aggressively, drive distracted, drive impaired. Those are the behaviors that are known to lead to serious injury and death on our roads. It's totally unacceptable because every collision that leads to serious injury and death was preventable. And of course it's not acceptable because if we can prevent it, why is it happening? It's because people are choosing to engage in behavior that we know is not safe. Today they are spending time in 14 Division and 53 Division. Those are the neighborhoods of Christie, Ossington, Annex, Little Italy, Lawrence Park, Young Eglinton, Rosedale, Leaside. Neighborhoods where real people live, work, and play and deserve to be safe. Simple as that. And with that said, I can now move on to questions. Once again, questions are answered as best as we can in the order for which they are received. Now, at the moment, TikTok is working in that it's giving me messages and I'm seeing the chat. That sometimes breaks because this feature is somewhat new. And if I'm not seeing messages from TikTok like this one, it's not because I'm ignoring you. It's because I don't actually see you. Somebody silly on Kick making silly statements. All right, let's move into thing. Let's see here. All right. Okay, here we go. First question of the day. Is underglow illegal if it's purple? Underglow can be illegal in any color. It really depends on what let me rephrase. Regardless of the color, depending on the installation of the underglow, it may be illegal. There is no specific legal or illegal color. It's about placement. Now, you can't have flashing red. You can't show light to the front or that is red. You can only shine light to the front that is yellow or white. To the rear, yellow or red. To the sides, you shouldn't be displaying red, but yellow is not a problem. It depends, and so yellow is the only color that you can really do all the time. Interesting. You can actually have 360-degree yellow. Although, does that really look good? I guess it depends on the color of your car. I would actually suggest against having any underglow on while you're driving. You may not want the color selection that I've suggested, which is legal. I think yellow is going to be the least offensive because green could be a problem. Blue is going to be a problem. There's very few colors left. The issue is that you're distracting and likely violating other laws. So I know there's some RGB options. I have some that I'm going to use for under-desk lighting. I have some RGB underglow kit that even pulses to the music. It's completely useless when it comes to vehicles because I have no intention of putting it on. But for under-desk lighting, I think it's kind of cool. So, if you can change the color, make sure it's off or yellow. And it shouldn't be directed outwards. Directly to the ground is the only direction. Now, I will say this. If you talk to Sergeant Murray Campbell, he will tell you that if he sees it, it's illegal because you're projecting light outwards that shouldn't be projected. Save and except I think yellow, I don't think he would have an issue with. Moving along, because I've gone down the rabbit hole of that. Jim wants, it's JM. Oh. What are the chances a judge will allow someone only to drive to work with stunt driving charge? So there is an immediate 30-day suspension. That is, it's got nothing to do with the judge. It's an administrative suspension. Your license is gonzo until that ends at the end of the 30 days, at which point you are going to have to reapply, pay like a reconnection fee. And that's to get it to the point of waiting for trial. Upon conviction, there's a 1 to 3 year driving prohibition. There's no, I don't believe that this has ever happened, and maybe I'm wrong. I don't believe that there's ever been a case where they said, but you can only, drive on weekends or to work, or I think you're going to be, getting a transit card. Sadly, there's not a lot of flexibility or sympathy when it comes to stunt driving, because it's such a horrible offense, and it really is. I know many people don't think it is, but it's serious. So so what are the chances? I couldn't predict that. Is there a possibility that the court could do something? I think they have. If they're going to find you guilty, I think they may be bound by those minimums. Alexis says or asks, at what age do seniors get retested, and is it written driving or both? That is a good question. Oh, I pressed the wrong button. Okay, let's see here. Seniors. I want to find the answer for you. Seniors, Ontario, driving test age. Because there's 2 stages. So if you're 80 and older, you must take a knowledge test every year. And it says you may be asked to take a knowledge test if you've been in an accident. I don't know why they would say accident. There's no accidents. They're collisions. This is drivetest.ca. They should know better. If you have a moving violation or conviction or have accumulated demerit points. And let's see if there's some more. Now, every 2 years starting at 80, it's a vision test, a driving test, a 45-minute group education session, 2 brief non-computerized screening exercises. And now, at some point, I thought it turns into a physical test at a certain age. My grandfather was driving until 94. Oh, here we go. Oh, it's commercial drivers. No. You can have a commercial driver's license over 80. Cool. Aged. Where is this? So we're getting into commercial. I don't see anything beyond, but I'm pretty sure there was a driving test that becomes required at a certain point. Again, grandfather was 93 or 94 when he stopped driving. All right. Let's see what Ryan Pinn's got to say. Ryan Pinn is a driving instructor from Nova Scotia and a self-appointed funny guy. Good morning. If I'm driving an American car, can I drive the American speed to the posted speed limit? You want to go slower? Or what do you mean? Like the limit from, no. But never ceases to make a funny. Okay, scrolling back. I shouldn't have actually done that. Let's see here. Peel cops have their work cut out for them. Terrible drivers here. I think that everyone seems to think that their community has the worst drivers. I think that there's pretty terrible drivers everywhere. Having driven all over the place, it is amazing how bad things have gotten. Now, when I grew up, driving was I think a pretty difficult. There was a bar. It was tougher to get your license. I think they've actually graduated licensing, but I think they've actually made it easier to get your license. Just saying. Okay. So what am I saying? I'm saying we could all improve. That's the nice thing. Jonathan Q says, question. Something that I was curious about regarding the right-of-way. Turning left on an advanced arrow to a single lane. There was an opposing car turning right. Does the advanced arrow give the priority? So the person turning right, they would be on a red. They have an obligation to ensure that they can make the right turn when it's safe to do so. You turning with a green would have priority. Now, you're both responsible for ensuring that you're doing something safe, but if they drive into you while you are turning, they have committed the offense of and broken protocol. Either way, you want to both try and avoid collisions, but they would be more responsible. Okay. Zavizio wants to know, hi, if I signal ahead of time and gently slow down, yield for turn, the person behind me should also slow down. I got honked last time, wondering what I did wrong. this actually goes to the topic that I'm making a TikTok video for this morning, and I've gone through a number of revisions, and I think every revision is getting better, but I've wasted or invested way too much time in the video that I'm going to be posting after this live stream is over, and that is bullying. It's people don't understand that just because they want to go faster, the person in front of them doesn't actually have to acquiesce. Yeah, need water. Acquiesce. Yeah, you don't just they got somewhere to go. They should have left earlier. They don't, just because you're doing the safe thing doesn't mean that you have to take it. Just do your thing. Drive your drive. And I mean that while following all rules and legal requirements. Mike says, you can see me now. Yes, and so can everybody else. The greatest thing recently has been this integration with Restream, which allows us to put your comments here. It's awesome. We got a question from Connor. I like that the fonts even come through. Are wheel spacers legal? Well, there's situations where wheel spacers are perfectly legitimate, and that's very often putting wheels that weren't necessarily manufactured for your motor vehicle and the configuration of your hub. So they have to add the spacers so that you can put those tires on and have them, fit. When you're putting spacers on to a vehicle or to tires that don't require them, and now the vehicle's tires are protruding beyond that of the body, not only does it look silly, but it's not legal. You cannot have fenders or tires that are not covered by fender or fender flare. Jacob says, sounds of the police. That would be the sound of the police. Tiger Picks. Do you have to be bald to apply to TPS? Some of us are not absolutely bald. Some of us choose to be bald. I actually, this is like hippie long for me right now. I usually bick it, but it's not a requirement, although you do get to be part of the cool club if you are, having a very large solar panel mounted to the top of your noggin. Let's see here. I was forced into the HOV lane by a car that cut me off and was given a ticket. Interesting. So you avoided a collision by getting into the HOV lane, but broke the rule of going. I mean, you obviously have a scenario which sounds like a defense if it was truly avoiding. But if you got out of the HOV lane or into the HOV lane and then chose to stay there because that naughty driver pushed you there, but then never made efforts to get back, I don't think you'd have much of a defense. You know what? Everyone seems to have an opportunity to play in court. You're certainly entitled to the opportunity to defend yourself there as well. So, if it's a legitimate thing, I think that I don't think that everyone should have the opportunity to go to court. If you're guilty, you shouldn't go to court. But people choose to roll the dice and try and get out of their responsibilities on a regular basis. Now, you again seem to have what sounds like a legitimate explanation. Okay. We got questions more about this. So we talked about this, so I won't get into it. And I know Grinch knows the answer, but he is announcing that he has just installed Underglow, but he only uses it for parades and van shows. Oh, interesting. I want to now know, Grinch, do you have an Insta? Because I want to check out your ride. Very cool. I do like custom vehicles. I do like modifications. People think that the folks at Traffic Services are anti-car or anti-modification. That isn't true. We're just car lovers who want to ensure that people doing that modification are doing it legal-like. All right, we got questions about this. We got questions about that. Riverman says, good morning from Massachusetts. I don't know how to pronounce it properly now that I'm thinking about it. I don't know is it, I'm not going to go there. But welcome. I was talking to a copper from out by you recently. He came in to do a presentation on stuff and things, and we got to talking, and it sounds like you got a great place where you live. So I have not been there, but I plan to do a tour of the U.S. at some point and see it all. Want to see it all. Okay. Boom. Let's see what's going on here. I flagged some. Know you're on. What is this? Know you're on your phone. RN right now. What? I don't know. I don't know if that was a comment to somebody. Maybe it's a comment to somebody else. But because that makes no sense. We already talked that. Can I have multiple colors tail lights? Multiple colors? What colors are you thinking? You can only have red and amber. Brake lights must be red. Amber could be signal. Red could be running light. Like, what kind of multiple colors are we talking about? If you can only project you can only project yellow and red. So multiple colors would be a no-no. Yeah. What do you want? I don't understand. I don't understand the ask. What do you want to do? Why would you want to like green, orange, blue? What is it? Tell me. Jonathan Q has further statements. We'll flag that for after. Is a front plate mandatory? If yes, what are the charges? If you are not running a front plate, you are failing to display 2 plates, and that is a charge, $110. Let's see here. Oh, so there's some folks on TikTok who say corrupt cops online. I do like the people who throw allegations. They're fun. Let's see here. You know the HOV lane. Talk about entering it on the solid double line. So I do know the HOV lane, and entering it on the solid and double line is not permitted. There's signs actually defined and enforceable signs that say you can't do that. Different than when I've talked about crossing a solid or double line just in a regular lane line. Regular lane line down the street, those lines are not enforceable. The lines in relation to an HOV lane are absolutely enforceable because of the sign that has authority. Well, the paint on the ground doesn't actually. Let's see here. Oh, question about what's the difference between drug marijuana positive and DUI? Same conditions? Yeah, it's the same. It's impaired operation. It doesn't have to be just marijuana. Marijuana, anything, methamphetamines, cocaine, like whatever you are on, if you are operating a motor vehicle whilst under the influence of drugs, even technically prescription drugs, anything, or alcohol, well, we have drug recognition experts, and after you perform testing, they determine the family of drugs that you are under the influence of, and you would be getting the same consequences. Okay, we have a good question. Oh, I love questions about e-scooters. Okay, we got, let's see. Oh, got it, Ryan. Okay. Questions about riding dirt bikes on the street. I'm going to flag a bunch, and then we'll go back and answer them. Why are there no points for red light cameras? Okay. Curious, what is this? Okay. You missed a bunch of YouTube questions? I don't think I missed any. Okay. If I did, I'll scroll back. Just got my G2. Congratulations. We'll come back to that. Big Red. Oh, interesting. Okay. We're talking about whether or not you have to report somebody else if you're aware of the fact that they are breaking the law. Good morning from New Brunswick, from Benton, New Brunswick, from Frenchman. Good morning. Okay. Honking at people at intersections. Cool. Boom, boom, boom. Why do cops? Oh, okay. We'll talk about that. Okay. I got about 11 questions here. So, is the left lane for passing? Okay, the left lane on highways are for passing, but I find all lanes doing the same speed. Okay, as long as none of them are going over the posted speed limit, that would be absolutely lawful. If anybody is going over the posted speed limit, they're breaking the law. The left lane is for passing, yes, which means that unless you're actively passing a slower moving vehicle, you shouldn't be in that lane. But if everyone on the right lanes is doing the speed limit, then no one should be in the left lane. People don't understand the concept of passing. Passing, there's no permissible speed above the posted limit that is allowable for passing. Why would you need to pass someone who's going the speed limit? What do we got here? This happened to me at church in Bloor, southbound to eastbound. Opposing drivers seem to think they have the right of. Yes, this is a follow-up of the turning into the same space. Okay, let's talk about e-scooters. E-scooters that can have speed up to 120, I'm assuming kilometers an hour, illegal or can be plated. E-scooters are not e-scooters at that speed. At that speed, that's a motorcycle. If it goes more than 32 kilometers an hour, that is a motorcycle or at least a motor vehicle under the law. In fact, when it was manufactured, it was already a motor vehicle, but there was an exemption or a prescribed way to be considered an e-bike under provincial law in Ontario. So if it goes no more than 32 kilometers an hour, if it's no more than 120 20 kilos and has a motor no more than 500 watts and has functioning pedals, it's an e-scooter. But as soon as it goes 33 kilometers an hour, it's a motor vehicle needing license, ownership, and insurance. And if you look at this, if you compare 120 kilometers or miles per hour, whichever one that is, to a electric Harley, they're both motorcycles. They're the same. And one just has appropriate brakes and lighting and all the equipment you have to be licensable, and the e-scooter probably doesn't. Now, could you apply for a VIN? Potentially. But I couldn't say whether or not Transport Canada would issue you one. What happens if you ride dirt bikes on the street? If you're talking about dirt bikes by way of motorcycle, off-road motorcycle, you are breaking the law. Simple as that. You are driving an off-road vehicle without license, ownership, and insurance for the road. So you're going to look at a $5,000 to $25,000 fine and up to 6 months in jail for the drive, no insurance, because you may be insured for trails, but you're not insured for the road. No license, no license plate, unsafe motor vehicle without being safetied for the road. You're talking about thousands of dollars of fines. Someone asked here, where was it? It was for Dragon Pearl. It was good. Going back there soon again. It wasn't Dragon Legend. I didn't go to Dragon Legend. I went to Dragon Pearl. Question about red light cameras. Why are there no points for red light camera, but there are points if cop caught you going through? Fantastic question. So the answer is we need to know who's driving in order to give you a point-laden ticket, a ticket that has points. It's a different charge, actually, that's being laid under the HTA that was written specifically for red light cameras. In the absence of knowing who the driver is, it's a owner responsibility ticket, which means the registered owner, regardless of knowing who is behind the wheel, is responsible for that charge. You don't pay it; it goes against the license plate, not the driver. When my colleagues pull you over for driving through a red light, we obviously know who drove through it, and we lay the charge under a different section directly to you, the driver, and that's why there's demerit points. In the UK, in Australia, the ticket goes to the driver or to the owner, but there are points involved. And if you don't want the points on your license, you better give up your buddy who is driving your car, because likely you know exactly who was driving it. I know that someone that went to Australia and came back with a ticket, and demerit points were listed on it, and I thought that was pretty cool. I would love to see that here. So I'm going to scroll back to see if I can find those, but in the meantime, let's see here. Chase says, you said you can't drive a Jeep with having the windshield down because then it would be an unsafe vehicle. But by the same logic, you don't need doors for safety. So why would you? So why can you drive with doors off? I don't think doors are part of the safety, and it was designed to have the doors removed, and doesn't meet the requirement, or doesn't have a requirement for having no doors. Wait, let me back that up. Windshield required, doors not required as part of safety. So doors allowed off, windshield required, must be on. Now, I believe that's the standard. I have not gone and read line by line to find this, but I've had a number of conversations with other safety professionals in this building, and the consensus is that the windshield is a required piece of equipment for a motor vehicle, or specifically an automobile or truck, whereas a motorcycle doesn't require one, but you do have to wear a helmet. Mind you, that helmet doesn't require a visor. So, yeah, I'm trying to logic this one out, but at the same time, apparently it is what it is. It is required now. If you can find stuff, and Chase, I know if anyone can, you can. If you can find something that says it's not required, point me in the direction. I'd love to read it. Big Red says, if you know someone's committing a crime you don't report, are you guilty? So if you are aware, depends on the crime. If it was conspiracy to commit an offense, if you knew about it, if you were involved in some way before it happened, I believe I know there's a charge for it. But if you know someone is I don't know what crime we're talking, it has to be criminal code, because if we know people are speeding, holy moly, a whole bunch of people are speeding. But yeah, are you guilty? I would say morally, absolutely. It depends on what the crime is. I've never really thought about this beyond that of conspiracy to commit. We'll have to come back to it. Let's see. It's 10:33, and in case you're new to the channel and you don't know who I am, my name is Sean Shapiro. I'm a police officer with the Toronto Police Service. I talk about traffic safety, traffic law, and police stuff every single day. That was really a lot of words. I want to make sure that the stream is still working properly. So let's see if the most recent one, hey, it is still working properly. I think that we're blowing out the buffer now and again. So if your messages don't get through, it's probably because it's broken. We're a busy channel compared to most, I think, that are using this. Let's see here. Can I turn left into a center lane? Not sure what the name of it is. Okay, multi-use center lane. Oh, interesting comment about the whole windshield thing. Windshield designed to help support the weight of the vehicle in a rollover where the doors aren't. And the roll cage usually doesn't. Does the roll cage extend to the front? On most modern Jeeps, you'd have to unbolt the those cross members that go between the rear roll cage and the front. It's a good point. Ryan Pinn with the knowledge there. I like it a lot. Colton Schindler. This is actually a very good question as we get into the winter driving with snow and stuff. Now, the question is, how bad is it if I don't clean off my taillights and license plates? Well, if I can't see your taillights, they're improper. If I can't see your equipment that is designed to notify and required to notify others on the road that you are applying your brakes, I'm going to say that you're improperly or have improper taillights. Now, license plate, you are required to have your license plate legible, discernible. The light on top of it has to be functional, and you have to be able to read it. So if the light works, but I can't read your plate, it's no good. So you'd be eligible for $110 for either one, or if not both of those. So yeah, it's bad. Let's see here. Michael wants to know the serious question of why are so many police overweight? I see it like a humongous problem when many can barely chase after someone. Should there be a maximum BMI? I think it's a wonderful question. It's a good thing. I get to talk about it as a currently overweight cop. And the answer is that we have a crappy sleep schedule. We have a crappy amount of overtime and extra work that we do. We basically lead an unhealthy lifestyle. We're grabbing food on the go. Sometimes we're not grabbing food at all. You eat when you can. It is a hectic thing. There are people who are absolutely religious about the gym, and they are machines. And I know people that can do crazy stuff, and they look like maybe they're in better shape than when they joined. And then the rest of us don't. And part of it's going to be genetics. Part of it's going to be choosing one thing over another. But should we be responsible for being able to run after people? Well, I suppose some services might do that. But we have knowledge and ability to do things even if we're not super fit specimens. Is it better? Are we encouraged to be in shape? Absolutely. We have annual fitness testing. But they can't just fire you if you don't have the right height and weight, or I guess your height doesn't usually change, but if you're not under a certain amount. But ideally, I don't disagree. It is beneficial to have us in good health. We also want to live a long time. Living is good. We want to live. So for our own health, it's a good idea. But is it mandatory? No. Let's see here. If I can see, I post on. Okay, moving. Oh, yes, cool. Okay. Flagging this one. Good morning to you. Okay. Colton. Okay, moving back to some flag stuff. Someone honked at me recently because I wanted to wait until the intersection cleared before going for advanced. You mean like the right thing to do? Like wait till there's somewhere to go? And I think that's what you said in the next comment, because it was a two-part question. But Amanda, that sounds like you were doing everything right. But the fact that somebody was honking at you, too bad for them. They can't see what you can do. You're judged based on, like legally, you're going to be judged on what you do. And driving into someone because the person behind you honked, not really a defense in court. So let them honk. I've gotten really used to ignoring the bullies on the road because that's what they are. Honkers are bullies. Unless they're honking at you because you're doing the wrong thing, and then they're just helping out. But you, in this case, are very much on the right. Kelly wants to know, why do cops come into my work for over an hour and leave the cars idling? I work at a cafe. I don't know. There's generally things like, dogs, canine units in the car. They have to leave that for air circulation. They may be running equipment in the car that requires the equipment to be on. We have computers that are remaining on, right? Computers, all sorts of equipment running. And if we don't shut it down, it's a problem, but we have to actually have it on. And we could be running out to that car at any moment. I don't know why it's happening because I generally turn off a car unless I'm leaving my lights on flashing and so on. So I don't know what their real is, what the reason for those cops is. I also don't know what police service you're talking about. Maybe they have different technology. Yeah. What else could it be? But the dogs is a good reason. I'm now curious to know where you work. Can I turn left into a center lane? Not sure what the name of it is. So if you're turning out from a driveway, the center lane is an acceptable place to go, and then transition when there's traffic. It really depends on the design of the road, but very often that's exactly what I'll do. So I really hope it's not illegal. No, it's not illegal. It's usually a multi-purpose center lane, and most people are turning into it to turn into the driveway that you're coming out of. Okay. The cops love my truck, and they always give me lights and wheel tickets. Damn Alberta. The deal is that I'm going to go out on a limb here and assume, based on your statement, that you have illegal stuff going on with your lights and wheels. Otherwise, you probably wouldn't have any tickets. But yeah, we tend to go after people who break the law. In fact, in Ontario, if you continuously, because you're saying they always give you, if you gave me, if I saw that there was a history of you having tickets for those offenses, I would just give you a summons to court. I would no longer give you tickets that give you the option to pay. I would give you a court date to attend where you had no other option. And if you didn't show up, you would have problems. They're probably being really lenient on you by only giving you tickets. Summons are more, now-ish. Okay, we're going to talk about more HOV. Safest way to handle someone following too close. I like this question. Okay, plates in poor condition. I like that. Amanda was making comments about something possibly about why people aren't getting tickets for certain things. We'll come back to that. Okay. Oh, yeah, there's good conversations here. What is considered stunt driving? We'll definitely talk about that. By the way, while I'm flagging stuff, I want to give you an opportunity to look at this page. It's the magical page of the Toronto Police Service careers section, www.toronto, or it used to be torontopolice.on.ca, but now it's just tps.ca because we got with the new world and we got rid of the on.ca. I was so happy about that, getting into the current times. So if you're interested in a job with the Toronto Police Service, all the information you could ever want and more is found here at www.tps.ca/careers. We are, of course, looking for police constables, but we're looking for all sorts of different good people to do, the good job of serving the community. And if you are one of those people who's interested in joining, come to this website, check it out. Now, you may not be someone who wants to wear a uniform, who wants to go out and patrol or write tickets for parking or transport prisoners or that sort of stuff. And that's okay, too, because there are other roles available within the Toronto Police Service. And now there are 3 we've been checking for a while. It's auxiliary volunteer is now open. That's funny. I was going to talk about that in a second. It was part of my plan. I was a member of the auxiliary. That's how I started with the service back when there was a hiring freeze. And I got to tell you, if you want to volunteer as a member of the service, this is the best way to do it. It is the most unique and dynamic volunteer experience, bar none. So if that sounds like something you might be interested in, putting on a uniform, getting some training, and going out and seeing stuff and learning stuff and engaging with people, I really do endorse this. This is open until December 1st. So you have got, it's just open today. 20th to the 1st of December, you can put your application in. The application can be done online. Help the police, help your community, feel good about life, because really it is an amazing opportunity. Have I said that enough? Have I sold this hard enough? I think it's good stuff. You can also apply for a systems analyst position, one that actually pays. Communication operator is another one that's currently open. Anyway, you cut it. We are looking for good people. And you know what? This is a good place to work. Now, police constable obviously is not listed there, but it is a position that is open. And if you are either interested in becoming one or know someone that you think would be a good cop, you should tell them to check us out, because we are looking for those good people. All right. We got... I ended up talking and not flagging. Okay. I'm going to flag this one. Okay. Lots of questions about the HOV lane. People want to know what the fine is. See, they said, I'd love to know too. I think it's $150. Let's see here. Canada, Florida. What is this? I live in Canada and Florida. Okay, we'll talk about that. Hayden is apparently making statements as to their feelings. Or maybe they're just happy. $110 ticket through Demerit Point. Okay, we got people answering questions. Ooh, is it 110? Is that? Emma may have looked something up. Okay. Can I turn left into a shared middle lane? Oh, I'm really behind on these questions. These are older. Okay. Scrolling ahead, I want to find some questions to flag, and then we're going to get back to answering them. Question was, while I'm doing this, what about clear taillights? The taillight, the skin or the outer shell can be any color, can be clear as long as the bulb color is red. So you cannot produce white light to the rear. It must be red or yellow, but the lens could be clear with the bulb producing the red light. Gail wants to know if they can ask a question. Of course, the answer is you can ask anything you like. Flag the dad joke for later. Let's see here. Most reported. Ryan Pin makes a very good point about changing colors of rear lights. The most reported collision throughout North America is the rear crash. Why would you want to make your taillights covered? That would make you more, or that would make you more visible. Yeah, and we look at this kind of stuff in a collision situation and go, this is a clue. Ryan Pin wants to know where Brandon is these days. He is not here. I don't know where he's gone. He had transferred to another division, in the search for his holy grail of whatever he's looking for in his policing career. And people do that. People move around a lot. It's a job where, you start off at a division, you want to go to a specialty unit, you go to a specialty unit, transfer to, people move around a lot. And he has done just that. So I don't know. I haven't spoken to him in ages. Let's see here. Tailgating and stopping. Sure, we'll come back to that. While I'm still flagging. Can you get a DUI on private property or a private laneway or your personal driveway? Yes, anywhere. You can be charged for impaired operation or effectively care and control. So if you're impaired in a car and you're not driving anywhere, but you're there and you're capable of driving, not legally, but you have the keys, it's got gas, you're good to go, you're in care and control and you can be charged. Okay. Hello from Mississauga. Hello, Tim. How you doing? Can you get pulled over in a Walmart parking lot? Okay. Okay. How high can you lift your truck? I think it's 3 inches body lift is the max. That was the question there. Can we get a ticket for no left with red light camera at the intersection? Red light cameras do red light. They don't do turns. Oh, interesting. Parking question. I actually know the answer to this. No, I thought it was parking. How many times for a front windshield? That's going to be, you're not going to get towed. It's going to be deemed unsafe. So if you get tickets for your front windshield because you got a broken windshield or you're going to be deemed unsafe. In fact, I would have just deemed you unsafe and not let you driven away in the first place. Because if it's unsafe, it's unsafe. Period. Colton wants to know why people. Okay, now I understand the context of some of the comments. We're all over the place, but it's good. Why don't cops pull people over for it? Which is for not having cleared rear plates, or legible rear plates, or snow on rear plates. If I can't read your rear plate, I do pull people over, or did pull people over when I was on the road, and very often officers do. But you have to be able to have been looking at that vehicle and noticing it, and not being tasked with something else that's a higher priority. Very often, police officers on the road are actually doing something specifically. They've been assigned something. They're on their way to go somewhere. They're not just tootling around looking for traffic offenses, because we have a very specific focus of the type of offenses we're looking for. But if you catch me in the right time and I see it, you're absolutely getting a ticket for it. So it depends. Okay. Safest way to handle someone following too close? Connor 5.3 wants to know. Well, my answer may be different than most people's. I slow down. I don't press the brakes. I let off the gas. I gradually slow down. If you're going to be right up my rear, you're going to have to be paying attention because I'm going to slow down. And then that might motivate you to either back off or pass me safely. Now, a brake check is different. Brake check is not legal. That's when you hammer your brakes to send a message and you end up causing a collision or cause that other person to react, which could create very unsafe scenarios. And that's not what I'm describing, because I would charge someone criminally potential for a brake check. However, slowing down gradually is absolutely what I think is the right way to go. If you got better solutions or suggestions, please let me know, because this is a good conversation starter. I like it. Okay. This is going to, I see so many plates where stickers have peeled off and they're illegible. The deal is that they are illegible, and that would make them absolutely in violation. So $110 ticket for being dirty or in poor condition that you can't read them. If I can't read them, it's $110. What is considered stunt driving? I like this one, and I think for this one I'm going to read you or go to the website, because I know lots of them, but I want to give you the list so you can see just how complete it is. Stunt driving races. I want to find the HTA. Oh, I should probably put driving instead of sriving. Race, stunt driving, Ontario regulation. Okay, here we go. Regulation 45507, races, contests, and stunts. And I'll pull that up on the screen, because this will blow your mind. All right. For the purposes of Section 172, race and contest include any activity where one or more persons engage in any of the following driver behaviors: driving two or more motor vehicles at a rate of speed that is a marked departure from the lawful rate of speed in a manner that indicates the drivers of the motor vehicles are engaged in a competition; driving a motor vehicle in a manner that indicates an intention to chase another vehicle. Motor vehicle, let the word out. Driving a motor vehicle without due care and attention, without reasonable consideration for other persons using the highway, or in a manner that may endanger any person by driving a motor vehicle at a rate of speed that is marked departure from the lawful rate of speed, outdistancing, or attempting to outdistance one or more motor vehicle while driving at a rate of speed that is marked departure from the lawful rate of speed, or repeatedly changing lanes in close proximity to other vehicles so as to advance through the ordinary flow of traffic while driving at a rate of speed that is a marked departure from the lawful rate of speed. Are we picking up what I'm putting down? You're zipping through traffic, trying to get ahead. Stunt driving. You're taking off from a pack of traffic, like a bullet. Stunt driving. Racing someone. Stunt driving. We're all clear? This is all stunt driving. Then we've got, let's see, driving a motor vehicle in a manner that indicates an intention to lift some or all of its tires from the surface of the highway. It doesn't even say that you lifted the tires. An intention to lift. So you try and do a wheelie. Including driving a motorcycle with only one wheel in contact with the ground, but not including the use of lift axles on commercial motor vehicles. Probably important, the wheels that they can manually remove. Anyway, motor vehicle in a manner that indicates an intention to cause some or all of its tires to lose traction with the surface of the highway while turning. Drive a motor vehicle in a manner that indicates an intention to spin or cause it to circle. Sounds like a donut to me. Now they say without maintaining control over it, but the truth is if you're doing it, there is no control over it. Good luck making an argument that a donut is a controllable activity. Driving two or more motor vehicles side by side or in proximity to each other where one of the motor vehicles occupies a lane of traffic or other portion of the highway intended for use in oncoming traffic for a period of time that is longer than is reasonably to pass another motor vehicle. So I've talked about the fact that you can cross over a line to pass someone, but if you're doing it to race them, not allowed. Driving a motor vehicle with a person in the trunk of the motor vehicle. That's not legal. Driving a motor vehicle where the driver's not sitting in the driver's seat. This actually applies to autonomous vehicles too, because there are no truly autonomous vehicles. So if you get autopilot in your Tesla and get into the passenger seat to play games, that's illegal. Or if you're ghosting, I don't know, walking next to your vehicle while it's in gear, not legal. That would be stunt. Now, this is the one that we get into the stuff that most people are familiar with. Driving a motor vehicle at a rate of speed that is 40 kilometers per hour or more over the speed limit if the speed limit is less than 80 kilometers per hour, or driving a motor vehicle at a rate of speed that is 50 kilometers per hour or more over the speed limit in a speed limit where if the speed limit is 80 kilometers per hour or more, or driving 150K anywhere. And now I'm like, do we want to keep reading? All right. If you're trying to prevent someone from passing, if you're stopping or slowing down, this is your brake checks. Also qualify for stunt. If you're trying to buzz the tower, you're trying to drive next to someone really close, or anyway, there's always room for interpretation, but that is another one that's less commonly spoken about. This one's great. No one talks about this except me, apparently. Jackrabbit starts. The driver is stopped at an intersection controlled by a traffic-controlled signal in response to a circular red indication, called a red light. At least one vehicle facing the opposite direction is similarly stopped in response to their red light. The driver executes the left turn immediately before or after the system shows only a circular green indication in both directions and in a manner that indicates an intention to complete or attempt to complete the left turn before the vehicle facing the opposite direction is able to proceed straight through the intersection in response to the circular green indication facing that vehicle. What I'm saying is the light turns green, and either just before it turns green or just after it turns green, Buddy hits the gas and goes left turn in front of oncoming traffic. That is clearly stunt driving. And there are some exemptions like, hey, does that mean that racetracks, everyone on a racetrack is going to get a ticket? No, because there's an exemption for that. Okay, I went way down the rabbit hole on that one. Thanks for putting up with it, because I like talking about stunt driving. Can you pass in a solid yellow line? Those yellow lines are suggestions, not law. And if there was a sign that said no passing, that's different. The sign is regulated. The line is not. So you can pass or cross a yellow line or a white line, solid or dotted, regardless. They're indicators for suggestions. And whatever you do when you cross it, well, that's going to be on you. You can still be charged, but not for crossing the line. It would be for careless driving or what have you. Unsafe stuff and things. When you're in a passing lane and it comes to an end, are you supposed to use a signal light? You are to signal the intention to move your vehicle. So if you're in a lane and you're changing to another lane, yeah, you signal. You don't just, there's no expectation that you're going to do, or I should say no exemption from doing what you need to do. If you're changing the direction of your vehicle, and that includes changing lanes, even if the lane is ending, you have to actually, now, I say you have to do it. If there was truly nobody on the road, nobody, well, then you wouldn't, because the movement of your vehicle would require a signal if that movement was going to affect somebody else. And here's the catch on that. If you get a ticket, it means that you were wrong in your estimation that there was nobody else, because obviously somebody saw you and that somebody wrote you a ticket for it. So, if a tree falls in the forest. So lots of discussions about crossing into the HOV lane. We've talked about it before. I'll talk about it again. They have a special line, and crossing those is illegal, mostly because there's big signs that says you can't do it, with a image that says, look at that pattern on the road, don't cross that. So the sign is regulatory and enforceable. But they see this violation all the time, and I see it too. I see people who use the HOV lane to pass other vehicles. You know the speed limit in the HOV is the same as every other lane? You can't speed in it. What is Indie Pop says, I'm truck driver. If someone hit highway on slow speed on right side and come front of the truck, I'm going to decode this. No, I can't decode. What do you want to know? They have to be, if you're speeding, and if you're doing the speed limit, they need to come up to the speed limit to enter the road. If they can't get in front of you safely, they should get behind you safely. I'm not understanding what your question is. Okay. I live in Canada and Florida. Snowbird. I have used insurance, so I need anything else to drive. I have used insurance? So here's the deal. If you're traveling with your Canadian vehicle, if it's registered here, you can take your vehicle to Florida for 6 months less a day. And that counts for you too. Your insurance covers you for that. But once you're there for 6 months plus a day, you and that vehicle are not legal there, and you're an overstay. Unless you have other types of coverage. Now, what some people do is they have an American-owned car and a Canadian-owned car, and they store one in Florida and one in Toronto. They're really dedicated to it. That's what I used to do. I lived in Florida for 5 years, and when you have a Canadian driver's license, you and you're adult and you're back and forth, you can actually get a Florida driver's license as a Canadian. You go in and you say, I'm only, because you can't own a vehicle in Florida without a Florida driver's license. So they have a special provision under law that allows you to have a Florida license and a Ontario license. It's the only time you can have two licenses. But the license is specifically and only for purchasing of vehicles. It's a really weird thing. But I had one, so I know it exists. Okay, covered that. Dad jokes are here. Wow, it's 11 o'clock. I want to see if I can flag a bunch of other questions that need to be flagged so they can be answered quickly as we rush towards the 11-ish. I don't want to stay too late, but I do like to try and flush all the questions that are in waiting. But no new questions after 11 o'clock. They are time-stamped so I can see, and I will stop at 11 o'clock unless they're really, really good. Okay. What is this? Mortalk or Mortaki? Mortaki bound? I was thinking you were using a username for something else. Okay. I was going to a movie reference. I don't know if you can answer British Columbia question, but how does school zones work? I can't answer a question about British Columbia school zones because I have no information or knowledge about it. But I can tell you that in Toronto, in Ontario, your school zones are school zones regardless of whether or not school is in session. Signs are posted, they're regulated unless they are conditional, having a start time and an end time, or say that they don't count during certain months. It would be on the sign. Now, law in your province may be different, but here that's how it would be. So the sign is a sign regardless of the day, week, or month. It's what it is. So consider it in effect and drive accordingly. Dame-1 says, how long do violations stay on your motor vehicle record, as well as are they permanent, that if you were to apply to a job with the police, will your complete motor vehicle report show? This is a question that's actually been sitting in the Instagram queue for a while, and I apologize for being so late to respond. But the answer is we can see forever. They never come off your record. From the police perspective, we'll see your full abstract from the day you were licensed. In fact, if you have a violation from before you were licensed, we will see that too. And that's just the way it is. So, if you're going to apply for the police, I would suggest changing your driving behavior. Because if you can say, well, I was a kid, I was dumb. I was a dumb kid who did dumb things, and I figured it out, I smartened up, and I don't do dumb stuff anymore. That would be a way to deal with it. Because we can say, well, look, it's been 5 or 6 or 7 years since you had a ticket, and you obviously changed your ways. You made good on your commitment to traffic safety, because you cannot be expected to be hired to enforce laws you don't respect. Okay. Is it legal for civilians to ride horses along public roads? Yeah. As far as I know, we have communities that have many horses. I've never seen one in the city of Toronto other than police horses. Is that true? I think we've had some other horses, but it's so not commonplace. It's not something I've ever had to run into, but as far as I know, it's absolutely legal. Now I want a horse person to actually tell me. I'm gonna have to get a horse. A horse. I guess I can't talk to the horse, but we maybe get an officer on a horse who might know more about the laws about horses. Please don't ride your horse to Toronto until we can figure, 100% exactly what the rules say. But there's lots of horseback related stuff in the HDA. Okay. Oh, should I treat those wide residential roads as 1 or 2 lanes, depending on, or despite no lines being painted? It's a 1 lane, unless there's clear delineation into multiple lanes. A wide lane just really accommodates for people parking on it. But I was up in Richmond Hill King. I was in King for the ride launch, which I've got some video that I got to put up on that topic. But the deal is that they had some super wide. It was confusingly wide. It was a lane and a half easily. And I could see people getting confused because it was somewhat confusing. And I can tell you that I stayed to the line and didn't get involved with two-lane conversations. And that may have upset people who wanted to go faster, but so be it. It's a one-lane road unless it says there's two. Oh, gosh. TikTok newbie says, why do people think passing a line of vehicles crossing train tracks stop people, please? Yeah, people are not so quick on the uptake. They don't get the idea or the issues surrounding railway. Very dangerous. People do stupid things all the time. Passing here to crossing you see is something you see with crosswalks. Why would you think it's something you could do with a railway? Oh my goodness. Okay. Hollywood and the Misses. Your headlight goes out when you're getting ready for work on a cold morning. Will I be given a ticket? You most certainly could be given a ticket. Generally speaking, you're probably going to get a warning. It depends on the officer. You can get a ticket. You can go to court. You can say, here's my receipt. I went and got it fixed. And the court could choose to withdraw it. I mean, technically, you're violating the law. You are technically doing that. So are you eligible for a ticket? You most certainly are. If you told the officer saying, I did a circle check this morning and I noticed it, but I had to go to work and I'm going to Canadian Tire after lunch, some officers might give you a break. Some officers might not. It really depends. So you could be given a ticket. Mayan getting the response from the community for asking this question 600 times. Yeah, please don't spam. Because the only time you can have spam is when it's in a can, thanks to a killer draconus who gave me the can of spam. Let's see here. Mine didn't like it. Okay. Mine's still spamming. Mind you, this is 13 minutes ago. How hard is it to join the police service? Just graduated, still trying to figure out what to do. Well, I can tell you that right now is a good time to put in an application. If you are someone who's qualified, who meets the minimum requirements, and you're thinking about it, maybe not a bad idea to apply now, because your odds of getting in are good based on the fact that we're hiring. When I wanted to join, there was no hiring. It was a freeze for years. So if you turn around and decide that that is exactly what you want, but you waited a year to find out, you may find yourself in a hiring freeze again where you don't have an option. Okay. Can I take a G test online? You can take a practice test online, but the actual test is in person. Okay. Can I get arrested for roasting a cop on his looks? No, but I'm assuming it's because you are interested in that officer, because you always hurt the ones you love. It suggests you have a crush on that cop. Okay. Can an American who has misdemeanors come to Canada? The government or the Border Patrol can deny you for criminal records. I don't know what the bar is, though. I don't know if it has to be if misdemeanors count or not. I think any criminal record might be the reason they say no, but that's up to them. It's not my department. I've never been in that situation to have to worry about that. Big Smoke 3 says, in Ottawa, does Parliament Protective Services have the same authority as police? I don't know what they fall under, having never had any experience with them. I don't know if they're armed or not. I'm assuming I think here they're special constables for our government buildings, which would give them similar authorities. But I don't know if the Parliamentary Protective Services has more or the same. I don't know. Boy, that sucks. I don't have an answer for that. I'll send the message. Okay, that's from Emma. Michael Tizard. Okay. Is there a law in Canada / Ontario in regards to HGV or slower cars sitting in the middle? HGV? We're talking. I don't know what the acronym is, and if it's a correct acronym, but it's not ringing any bells. But there's an answer from somebody else who says yes, there is. Joke is on you is the username. Middle or fast lane can you undertake legally? I'm not following this conversation. Amanda says, I see so many people zipping between lanes in the 401. I see it everywhere. We have some really bad drivers who need to be taken off the road. by way of charges and convictions. Oh my goodness. Before the show was up, Akela Draconis made it in, caught up on the playback of the live stream, probably at double time, and made it to the 11 o'clock. What is a jackrabbit start? Okay, we covered that. So jackrabbit start, and I probably said that while I was reading the law on it, or at least the regulations. Is there a fine for that? Okay, that jackrabbit start counts as stunt driving. Stunt driving will give you a side or a roadside suspension, 30 days, an impounding of your vehicle for 14 days. So you're looking at $1,500 to $2,000 probably in expenses for towing and storage of your vehicle, because it's not towed to your house, it's towed to an impound lot. Then you've got going to court. On conviction, you'd be looking at $2,000 to $10,000 in fines, up to 6 months in jail, and a further 1 to 3 year driving prohibition. So is there a fine for that? Oh, yeah. By the way, if you do it again, or if you trigger stunt driving again and you're convicted, instead of a 1 to 3 year suspension, it would be a 3 to 10 year prohibition or suspension. And on a third conviction, it's a lifetime. Lifetime. Is sudden acceleration within the speed limit, is it stunt driving? We can argue it both ways. Marked departure, yeah, it could be. It depends on what's going on. Could it be careless? Could it be criminal, dangerous? Could be anything. Really depends on the observations the officer's making. Is there a good reason to hammer down and accelerate? No. And if you're putting people in danger, then it's perceived as stunt and justified through the articulation of the officer as stunt, you may find yourself getting charged with stunt or worse. This is Frank makes a really good point there. Too many people believe that there are multiple speed limits on the highway and major arterial roads. Yeah, there's one speed limit. It's the limit. It's not like 20 over is okay, because it's not. If you're going over the speed limit 1 kilometer, you are technically breaking the law. You are speeding and eligible for an offense. Now, are we running around giving 1 and 2 kilometer over speed tickets? No, it's not worth our time. But why people seem to think it's okay is a whole different situation. I don't get it. If let me give you a scenario. If lasers from satellites took your engine out whenever you went over the speed limit, by magic or science or a government drone, whatever it is, if you had an immediate consequence, if you broke the law, you probably wouldn't break the law. People are breaking the law because they don't fear or are not concerned about getting caught, either because they're happy to pay a nominal fine, or they just don't think that their number's going to come up. But the truth is, when you are speeding, you're putting your life at risk as well as everybody else on the road. You're increasing your crash risk, and you're increasing the damage and potential injury in the event of that collision. So, bad idea. We should all slow down. Why are speed limits so slow? Should they be updated to 120, for example? Well, Manuel, first thing, they're not that slow. 100 kilometers an hour is pretty quick, and people still crash at those speeds. And the average person is going 120 already. So if we were to raise it to 120, I know there's been some studies that suggest that people would only do 120. They would suddenly stop breaking the law, but I think otherwise. If we made it 120, we would probably see people doing 140, because there's been this belief that you can speed legally or not get caught, or that police aren't going to stop you. Let's see here. Can we drive barefoot? The answer is yes, you can. Is it a good idea? No, it's not. When you smash that brake pedal or gas pedal, for that matter, you might hurt your toesies, and that can cause you to remove said foot from the pedal and not do what you're supposed to be doing, especially in an emergency braking situation. Now let's talk about what happens if there's a collision. You get out of the car while you're trying to leave a burning car, for instance. I'll give you a horrible scenario. Well, if you do that, and there's broken glass and things on fire and chemicals and it's cold, bad things happen. Now, chances are you're probably not going barefoot in the winter. You're probably going barefoot in the summer, but broken glass is a real deal. Chemicals is a real deal. Fire is a real deal. So should you be wearing comfortable footwear? Yes. Not flip-flops, not tongs. They call tongs. Nothing that's going to slip off, because things do slip off. And then they get caught under pedals. And then people get into collisions caused by their footwear. But ultimately, it's the choice to be wearing certain footwear. But barefoot, not illegal on its own. Okay. Okay. Boom, boom, boom. What do you got here? Is there a law on modified cars? Well, there's laws about cars and what is regulated and required. So if you have stuff that's not legal or you take stuff out that's required, you now have modified the car illegally. So there's tons and tons and tons of requirements. And you can modify a car into illegal or unsafe status. I've heard it's not illegal to cross a double yellow line. It's true. In Ontario, different provinces, different laws. I think Ontario is the only one where it's not legal or not illegal. Crossing the line on its own is not illegal, but you're responsible for what happens after you cross it. Let's see here. Okay. Stone Cold wants to know about, says an RV2. What is the RV2? I don't know what the comment was in the context of the comment. If it was about alcohol, we talked about that earlier. Maybe that's what you were talking about, because I don't see these live. I'm just getting to 10:58 now, and that's 15 minutes ago or 16 minutes ago. If we're talking about an RV in relation to impaired operation, an RV is an interesting thing. When it's parked legally and it's an RV mode, it becomes a temporary domicile, and you can have alcohol and not be charged. So that's different than parking your car and sleeping in it. I don't know if that's the context of where you're going with that. Let's see here. Oh, dad joke. Cool. Flagging that. Sam Wright does not trust the police. Hi, Sam. Okay. Sure. I don't know what to say to that. I guess you trust who you want to trust. Although I can tell you that we're here to help people. I don't get it. I don't understand what all the issue is, why people have such difficulty trusting the police. I grew up trusting the police. I wanted to become police because I trusted the police. Oh, well, what can you do? Oh, we got Spread Positive says, world's best public information officer. Thank you very much. It's very kind of you. Let's see here. Sideswipe collision. If they cut me off for accident and I stay in my lane, who's at fault? So if you fail to swerve out of the way of the vehicle that smashes into you, listen, the lane you're in is yours. If you are in the lane occupying it and they swerve into your lane, they're responsible, regardless of whether you had the opportunity to avoid it or not. Like if you didn't see them coming, you smash. We'd like you to try and avoid collision, sure, but they're obviously the person entering your lane, encroaching in your space. That's on them. Did you hear about the alpaca on Highway 400? I missed that. When did that happen? Judah wants to know about recruitment process. We're at 11:02. Are you allowed to turn left over a yellow line? Yeah. In Ontario, you can. Amanda says, no, you're stuck on that side. Oh, wow. Call Me Chris is getting a horse, which is fantastic. Hey, how you doing? We're wrapping up, but you finally got in here. Sergeant Campbell was busy. What's the deal with horses? Can they be ridden anywhere?
Horses?
That was a question.
Horses, of course.
Horses. That's what I was thinking. And there's communities where you can have a horse on the road, and there's HTA laws governing the treatment of said horses.
Yeah, and if you're towing anything behind a horse or a sleigh or things like that, there are HTA offenses for that as well.
But so could someone buy a horse and ride it to Toronto to work?
I believe there is a bylaw other than our mounted unit.
Oh, see, I wasn't sure. That's news. That's news to me. But I'm glad you brought it up.
So
that makes sense.
I believe so, but I'm not positive.
But you can't take your cows down Yonge Street on Sundays. I think that's still in the books.
Is that
cattle? There's a bunch of old laws, and I'm going to look them up. In fact, tomorrow we can do a little segment on laws in Ontario or Toronto that are silly and still there. Sleigh bells. Let's see here. Okay, so a couple of flags. Just trying to get through some flagged stuff. Dad jokes saved for there. Got to talk about tailgating and stopping short. So somebody asked me earlier what my suggestion was for dealing safely with people who are tailgating. And my answer I will share with you. I think I've said it before with you. But essentially, if there's no lane to get out of the way to the right, because that would be the first and best option. I probably didn't mention that earlier. I tend to let my foot off the gas gradually and slow down. And then that gives the other driver an opportunity to realize they're not going to push me to go faster if I'm doing the speed limit, and they can pass me. But slamming on the brakes, that's not a good idea. And just breaking the law and going faster just because the person behind you wants you to, I don't think is a good option either. But what advice would you give?
Exactly the same as you, unless you're slowing down to the point where you're obstructing traffic.
So if you're, and really my suggestion is if you're going the speed limit, you're already doing the speed limit. You're doing what's safe and legal.
Yep.
And someone's up behind you because they want to go somewhere. That's where if you're doing 60 in an 80 or you're doing 60 in a 100, you should probably wake up and speed up. Unless there's a legitimate reason for you to be going that speed.
And you know what? If you're doing that speed, people are going to be right up your back bumper because
They shouldn't be right on your bumper though, because that's dangerous.
Right.
Tailgating. But in terms of communicating with you that you're going too slow, and the truth is, I've come up to vehicles that are going that slow and they're drunk, and I've stopped them and I've charged them and arrested them.
Yep.
So those are sometimes clues. Let's see here. Does TPS give gym membership? This is as a follow-up to why are so many cops overweight? So as an overweight cop, I got to speak about that. And really the fact that our what I had mentioned is that we have a crappy sleep schedule. We are tending to get fast food on the run and very often forego the exercise routines while half asleep trying to live our lives.
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. Now, we both have the benefit of working Monday to Friday during the day.
So I have no excuses what you're saying.
I was just about to say we are the two people that really need to be.
We should be machines.
We should be, but we are not.
Where are we going for lunch? So
TPS give gym membership? No.
Well, we have access to a gym.
We do, but we have to pay for it ourselves.
Yes.
And all the equipment is bought through a committee so that we have the equipment here for us to use.
But it's not the service who pays for that. It's the committee that raises money through gym memberships, and it's funded by ourselves. We're given the space to build a gym.
Yep.
But it's very much something we do.
And we can't use it on duty as well, just in case we get hurt.
Yeah, take lunch or before.
Do it on our lunch hour, which means we're not eating properly, which means we're,
Yeah, there's only so many hours in a day.
Yep.
So that's stuff. Can we be pulled over in a Walmart parking lot?
You can get pulled over for anything, anywhere.
Being investigated, you don't have to be on the road to be investigated. Being investigated, if you're doing something suspicious, drawing the attention of a police officer, it may not result in charges. There may not be charges to lay, but stopping you and seeing who you are and what you're doing is not the location-specific event.
And there are charges to be laid in a Walmart parking lot or any parking lot or any field or any beach.
You got your stunt driving, but then you have your trespassing and you have your alcohol investigations and your impaired investigation. There's tons of reasons to stop someone.
Yeah, impaired investigations happen everywhere all the time. It doesn't matter whether you're on the road or not.
Mayan, who was absolutely spamming the chat every 10 seconds with this question, how many times can I get a ticket for a front windshield until car is towed? I responded already, but I'm responding again just because I think it's funny. He was really spamming. And I wouldn't let someone with a smashed windshield drive away. It would be an unsafe motor vehicle.
Well, a smashed windshield or a cracked windshield, depending on where it is. If it's in the swept area that your windshield wipers go across, it's an obstruction to you being able to see properly at the front. Can you get a ticket for it? For just your windshield? Yes. Can you get your license plates pulled and towed away because it's unsafe? Yeah, depends.
Mr. Soprano wants to know if doing 180 on the 401 is a ticket.
Mm-hmm.
That one
180 steps per minute or
180 kilometers per hour in a 100 zone.
Wow.
That would be stunt driving, but it could also be criminal dangerous depending on the scenario.
Yep.
So that could be an arrest. That could be a matching bracelet situation. And many people just think it's a good thrill. But we've had people 300 kilometers an hour on the highway. OPP caught one 305 a couple of years ago, and that I would assume, I can only assume that would be criminal dangerous.
You know what? We have aircraft to be able to catch you. We have radios, and they travel faster than
everything.
305.
How do you handle someone who is going under the posted speed limit, holding up traffic?
There's a ticket for it.
For us as police,
depending on the situation, though.
And that's always, it depends. Because if someone is going under the speed limit, but they are dealing with a flock of seagulls, hovering in front of their vehicle, that's a legitimate reason to slow down.
Like the band,
or with really bad hair. But that's a legitimate reason to go slow. If it's crappy, if there's I was going to say granola, granular sand, rocks, something happening in front. If there's a reason for them to go below the speed limit, that could be justified. Now, if their vehicle is just in limp mode, it should be off the road, not limping, blocking traffic.
I see these people driving with their four-way flashers on because they've got a flat tire, and no, you can't drive slow with a flat tire, or that is obstructing traffic for sure, and maybe unsafe.
Yes.
So unlike Quebec, where they have a set minimum speed on some of their highways, we do not. But within reason, if you're driving unnecessarily slow because you are not able to drive fast enough, or your car is not able to drive fast enough, or you choose not to do it, then there could be a ticket for that.
Johnny says, I never answers any questions that you asked. I just don't know. I don't know what he's saying, but I thought it was kind of funny. Whenever someone says, I never do, I don't know if he means me, them, I don't know what he's talking about. Let's see here. Does it bother you when the judge or JP drops the charges? It used to really bother me. It used to bug me because, to me, I caught the person, I took it personal. I don't do that. I didn't do that in the last years of my being in an enforcement role.
I only lay charges to people that I truly, honestly believe are guilty of doing something.
100%.
The problem is I have to be able to present that evidence to a court in a manner that, first of all, that they understand, that they believe it's above the threshold, and there are no reasons for that to be changed, not believed, discredited, any one of those things. And that's why we have an independent judge or JP listen to what you're saying and what they're saying and make a decision. Does it meet the threshold? Does it go above and beyond? Does it?
I can tell you that I've had some that were thrown away, and I thought I did a really great job. And then someone, a justice, or I should say an agent asks me a question. And then based on my answer, says, I move to dismiss. And you get burnt on these technicalities once, and then you learn your lesson. And that's part of the learning process. So when I screwed up, or when I didn't give my best evidence and I was responsible, well, I was mad at myself, not at the judge or JP. But I have had situations where I've given what I think is picture-perfect evidence, and the JP has said, I believe the officer, but I also believe the defendant. So I'm going to give the benefit of the doubt to the other side. I'm like, how? How can you believe both of us? But anyway.
Yep.
So I have been in situations where I'm frustrated. I've obviously learned to deal with it.
You know what? We have the system in place. It's there to protect everybody, and it's there to protect us as well.
Ooh, Matthew wants to know about driving a Suron on the roads. Suron is that magical, I think they're really cool, and totally illegal electric motorcycle that sometimes some models have pedals. They're electric motorcycles. They're way too powerful. They do like 80, 90K minimum or maximum. They got 12 megawatt motors.
Are they actually, can they be licensed for the road? Are they Transport Canada approved?
I don't know if they are Transport Canada approved. I've been on their website before. They've talked about having VINs on them. Suron bike. I think they're Canadian made, yeah, or at least they have a .ca website. Oh, wow. That's cool. I'll share it. And you're a snow guy.
I'm a snow guy.
So that's a Suron with a track kit on it. Does that look like it should be? Well, anyway, in that configuration, definitely not street legal.
No.
But let's see. The Light B is the one that most people ask about. And let's see here.
That looks like an electric off-road motorcycle.
Oh, yeah. 6 kilowatt, 75 kilometers of range, top speed of 75 kilometers an hour, and a curb weight of 56 kilograms. It's lighter than the maximum.
I think that's cool.
It is cool. 6,000 watts of peak power, 180 pounds of torque. That's pretty impressive. 6 Gs. Yeah. So people say, well, what if I don't go over the 32 kilometers an hour?
No. So all of these vehicles are electric motorcycles.
It's getting air.
They really are, for the criminal code and for the Highway Traffic Act. But the Highway Traffic Act has allowed an exception for a certain class of these to be operated on the roadways without a license, without insurance, and without a motorcycle license.
Wow.
And quite literally, it's an exception.
12 grand. Look at this thing. 22.5 kilowatt peak power.
That's pretty cool.
3 riding modes, traction control, regenerative braking. What's the max speed here? 110 kilometers an hour. I mean, yeah, sure, it's an e-bike. No, it's not an e-bike. It's an electric motor, just like the Harley Davidson's an electric motorcycle. That's also cool looking. Light BS. There's one of them apparently, and I think it may have been discontinued.
Light BS as opposed to heavy BS?
Yes, it depends on how much BS they're spreading. Anyway.
They're apparently too expensive for me to have, though.
Not as a toy. And I frankly, I think I just want a gas-powered one. Let's see here. Can you have a roll cage in a streetcar? Like a TTC streetcar? That's what I first thought. I noticed. A road car. Roll cages, a true roll cage that's just behind you. They're factory in many cars and can be added in many convertibles and things like that. Not illegal. And even a full racing cage may not be illegal, but from everything I've been told by professional race car drivers, a really bad idea, because those things go around areas where your head will bounce off of them, and unless you're wearing a tether with a Hans device and a helmet, you can end up for a minor collision suffering brain damage.
What about your vehicle is made with side curtain airbags and front airbags and all that, and you're now putting some steel bars down there to block them from use? So what do you do with them? Do you disable them? Do you pull the plug on them and not have them work?
You can't remove airbags. It's against the law.
I was hoping you would catch that. So.
Just like people who put the racing harnesses in, you get these 6 point or whatever. How many was it? 5 point, 6 point. And then I've never counted the points really. And they want to ride with those because it's safer, but they actually have to put the OEM seatbelt on top of the harness because you cannot remove an OEM seatbelt and you cannot not use it. You can't put another harness in and replace it. So you look really, really silly when you wear two sets of. Not to mention the fact that you're actually making it harder for EMS to get in and extract you with fire, and that they're not effective because those harnesses aren't on spring loops, or whatever the proper terminology is for the pull out retractor. Is it called a retractor?
Okay, now I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yes, they don't move.
They don't move.
Once you're in there, you're in there. You ever pulled your seatbelt out too far and have it start to lock?
Yeah.
And you're stuck there until you undo it? That's
I've seen racing drivers get put into their seatbelts and someone behind them is stepping on it, like to create enough. You don't have that when you're getting in to go drive to work in the morning. So you end up with these really loose belts. They just don't work the way that you think.
So a racing harness is supposed to keep you into the vehicle, inside the cage at all times. And it is probably a proper racing vehicle that is built around the safety cage and built in conjunction with it, where a road car is not built with that in mind. And if you add it later, it still doesn't function the same way.
Yeah, people say, but it's safer because there's more straps.
Yeah, no.
Let's see here. It's 11:30. We've got to get out of here, but I'm going to quickly look. I flagged some that I thought were good. How dark can my driver's side tint be? The maximum legal limit for certification to make your vehicle safe, 30%. But even if you have 30% blockage, meaning 70% of the light can get through, you can still get a ticket for obscure the interior of your motor vehicle with color or reflective tint. We have to be able to see in to be able to determine as a driver what the driver's doing, get a description of the driver. And ambient, or what's the other word we're looking for? Atmospheric conditions, like it's dark outside, may prevent us from doing it. Even in a bright day where it would be legal, at nighttime it would not be.
Yep.
So things to think about. That covers the driver's left and right of the driver, driver's left and right, the windows left and right of the driver, and of course nothing can be on the windshield. That would be a bad thing. But the windows in the back of your vehicle, make them as dark as you want. You don't even have to have windows there. You could replace them with.
As long as you have a mirror.
You have to have a clear view to the rear by way of mirror.
Yep.
And I think that should be updated to say by way of camera too, because so many vehicles in place of mirrors have cameras, but I don't think the wording has actually been updated to make it legit. I think does yours have it, or you rented a vehicle? You told me once you had a.
Yep, our one vehicle has it flips back and forth between a mirror and a camera. That's
very cool. Very cool. Any advice for people going through the recruitment process? How do I make myself the best candidate? Well, there's so many things you can do. Never stop. One, never give up on your dream, but never stop making yourself better. So, employment, make sure you maintain employment. Video games, not a good option.
Yeah, and you know what? Be the best employee you can at every job that you're doing to make your way up there. You know what? Just because you don't like your job, well, make yourself better and get a better job until you get to this one here. Volunteer in your community. Be
Huge.
involved. Be involved in your community. Don't be one of these people that are a recluse that doesn't get involved in anything, that doesn't talk to the neighbors, that doesn't talk to, because this is what you're going to be expected to do, to be a part of it.
And driving. Your driving is a big deal. How you treat the roads and the laws that govern them says a lot about what you're going to be like as a police officer. If you are breaking all of them, how would we ever expect you to enforce them?
Now, that doesn't mean that if you get a speeding ticket that you're not going to be qualified to do it. But your history is going to show what type of person you are.
Yeah. And if you do have a history, somebody asked earlier, if you had a horrible driving record when you were 16, 17, 18, but now you're 30, that does your history is there. Acknowledge it. Explain that you changed your ways, because you did if you don't have anything current. And that's not the end of the world, but it's important. X for homeless, or ex-doctor homeless, says, could you please talk about school buses? They're yellow. They have flashy lights.
What kind of yellow?
Oh, is it crimson, or is
No,
it? Is it?
it's close.
Is it? I don't know why. What is it?
It's called chrome yellow.
Chrome yellow.
And it's the only vehicle on Ontario roads, or I think in actually North America, that is allowed to actually be chrome yellow.
Chrome. I don't know why crimson keeps coming in, because crimson is red.
Crimson's red.
Yeah.
So
it's a cr sound.
We had a change to school buses this year.
Yeah.
Where we had the pre-flash to the red flash.
So while the vehicle was in motion, they would turn the flashers on, and while the vehicle remained in motion, you could still pass it. However, once the vehicle stopped and the flashing continued, you would not be allowed to, and that was confusing. We were the last province in the country to have all red lights. They changed it to pre-flash being amber. So while the ambers are flashing, you've got a warning that they're going to come to a stop, and once they stop, they switch over to red, and you can't pass anymore.
Right.
Much clearer messaging.
If you see an amber flashing on a school bus and you're approaching or coming from behind, that means stop.
Yeah.
There's not an offense to it, but it means stop.
It's a clue. We call it a clue.
Yeah.
Also, what many people do, there's other regulations. Many people don't realize that school buses can't actually use their red lights at intersections within a certain distance. They may be using their ambers to give you information that they're about to have people disembark.
Yep.
Which is confusing, because you don't have to pass, but you should know that things are happening.
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. There's a lot of rules that have to do with school buses.
Sure.
Or any bus, and railway crossings, things like that.
The big thing, we'd be remiss if we didn't mention the fact that vehicles in both directions cannot pass the vehicle in an undivided highway, meaning it's divided with a line, north and south, divided by a line. If the red lights are on, no one can pass in either direction. It just makes sense. However, if it's a divided highway, meaning there's a barrier, or you're like the 401, where it's a set of lanes one way in one direction, you have to cross over something like a median to get to the other side. In those situations, you don't have to pass oncoming.
I cannot see a school bus stopping on the 401.
This is true. It's true, but I'm trying to paint a really explicit picture.
Yep, I get to what you're doing, but I'm just
Yes.
I'm not sure I know anybody that has a house on the 401 with a driveway.
What about, are there any other highways that would be? That would be really weird.
Highway 115. That's one in our area that comes to mind.
How long do the courts have to get your traffic ticket to court?
Well, it used to be 18 months.
I think it still is. I think they raised it during COVID. I think it's back to the 18 months.
Is it?
I believe so. At the end of the day, if you believe it's too long, you can bring a motion to suggest that it's been too long, and that would be an argument for court. It doesn't just happen. They don't just vanish. You have to make a motion.
Yeah, Section 11B of the Charter of Rights and Freedoms in Canada, it says that you are obligated to have a trial within a speedy amount of time. Yeah. The courts have decided what that speedy amount of time is.
So 11B application is what you'd be submitting to the court in advance of your trial. If you get to your trial and you say it's not long and you haven't submitted your paperwork, I believe they're not going to look at it. Now, what I would suggest is there's a document called what is it called? It's called a Defendant's Guide to POA. Court. And that's not the right character.
POA court is Provincial Offences Act court.
Yes. So I'll just quickly put this on the screen because it's good to know. You can Googly-goo this, and you can go and get the guide, and it explains to you what the rules are, what you have to do, and gives you some lingo that helps you. Because you're going to go to court and you've never been there. you will be like a fish out of water. It's very, it can be intimidating. Now, I had a lot of experience there as a both a court officer and as a, where'd it go? There we go. Court officer and as a police officer testifying in these places. So I'm used to it. But I could, for the uninitiated, this is really helpful. I want to put a link to that on TrafficCop.ca. So if you forget what I said to get there, I'll put a link after the show so you can get there. Question here is, why don't we use more speed cameras? I'd love to see more speed cameras. I know nobody agrees with me, but I'd really like to see more speed cameras because we can't be everywhere.
Yep. I was traveling in Scotland last year, and they have speed cameras on controlled access highways that actually take your average speed from one camera to the next camera. So you can't just slow down past the camera and speed back up again.
Makes a lot of sense.
It does.
They even have cameras in Europe that they're testing for cell phone use. They have, and Australia and England, or the UK use cameras that take pictures to the front. So they see who the driver is and they charge and give points to the driver. Totally different world. People complain here, but you don't know how good you got it.
Yeah.
Until you don't.
Yep.
Okay, dad joke from the Grinch. Might as well start the Christmas jokes. How fast did the Grinch's sled go? Max speed. His dog was named Max. I like that. Which one? I really enjoy watching those movies with my kids. I don't know if I like telling dad jokes. Sometimes he laughs.
Yes. I like telling dad jokes, or I like telling dad jokes.
I'm reading that going, I don't get it. Let's see what the calendar, I think we got a bunch of them on the calendar. Here's the calendar. By the way, we'll be back tomorrow from 10 to 11 if you want to come back and ask questions in case you missed it or if you thought we were ignoring you. We stopped taking questions 40 minutes ago. We went really long. Thursdays, because we weren't in the office, or at least I wasn't. My sister was passing through a waterway one time, and she couldn't remember what it was called. She said it was straight up, or she was straight up at a loss for words. I can't read the questions, but it was a straight. It was a straight. Water was a straight.
Okay, gotcha.
What happens when meteorologists get angry?
They storm out. Not bad. Not bad.
Let's see here. I'm having trouble organizing a hide-and-seek league. Good players are hard to find. That's actually very good.
That's pretty good.
Can you believe Aquaman backed into my car 3 times yesterday? He left me with a trident.
You know the trident?
Yeah.
Aquaman
Tridents.
3 dents. You backed into it 3. I like it. I like it. I like it.
Trident. Okay. What kind of doctor is Dr. Pepper? A physician.
A physician.
Physician. I don't mind that. Okay, listen, it's been a great Monday. Happy to be back in the office. Thanks for spending time with us. We'll be back tomorrow from 10 to 11.
There is somebody on there. I'm not sure who Liza Jane is, but they said I should get a Surin. And I like it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
They support you in the purchases.
Yeah. I like it.
Yes. I wonder if they have contacts to get discounts or if they're just writing checks. Maybe they sponsor you. the traffic song to sing us out of our show today. See you tomorrow.
Yellow light, red light, green light, go. Driving safely helps the traffic flow. Watch for pedestrians, look out for bikes, and don't drive like a jerk that no one likes. Yellow light, red light, green light, go. Driving safely is the way to go. Put down your cell phone, nobody needs you to text and drive on the DVP. Yellow light, red light, green light, go. Stop at stop signs, look both ways, then go. Seatbelt, save your life indeed, and watch your driving. Don't speed. Yellow light, red light, green light, go. Driving safely is the way to go. Don't drink and drive or smoke some weed, because you might go to jail and not get freed. Yellow light, red light, green light, go. Driving safely helps the traffic flow.
And we're out of here. Have a great day. Stay safe, drive sober, park